There she is. Hello, Vritika.
Hi,
First of all, am I saying that right? Vritika?
Vritika.
Oh, I can't hear you, but that might be a problem for me.
Vritika, can you hear me now?
Producer Carr, can you hear her? Because I can't.
Hello.
What is going on here? Okay, I just can't.
Can you hear me now?
I just can't hear her, that's all.
Okay.
Yep, it's up. Okay, I just can't. Sorry, guys, one second. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Sanchia. These are probably your people, not mine. What's going on? I don't want to hear myself. I don't think that's it.
Can you hear me
Um,
now?
Now I can't. Okay, it must have been something with my mics. So, guys, I'm turning
Okay.
my comicas off, so hopefully my voice is still good enough quality. But okay, we're good. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, Rivika, hello. Introduce yourself, please. Well, first correct me if I'm speaking correctly, and then tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Vritika. It's Vritika.
The T.
Okay?
I'm missing the T. Dang it,
Yes.
Ritika, guys. Don't
Yes.
let me mess that one up again. All right.
So yeah, hi, I'm Vritika from India and I'm an independent filmmaker. Currently, I'm making my first independent feature film, which is huge for me. I have been working in the film industry in India since 4 years now. And like one fine day, I was like, I'm done assisting other people, you know. I want to make something of my own. And then I started writing my first feature film. And it's been almost 2 years now that I've been working. I worked on the screenplay for 11 months, then I started pitching it to production houses in India. But I got a lot of rejections. Like I faced the largest amount of rejections in the year of 2025. But yeah, then I was like, I don't need permission. I'm just gonna go and like share my journey with the people online and just go forward with this project and just create something because it's okay. I'm 25, and when a production house is like, what have you done before?" And I'm like, it's my first feature film. I passed out like three years ago from college. What do you expect from me? So yeah, so that
No,
has been my journey.
that's awesome. Yeah, well, definitely want to dive into some of that. I'm sure, as you know, we're basically in that same journey, dealt with a lot of those
Yes.
problems, and even across the world, it sounds like there's so much similarities of what we're dealing with. I would like to go back, further than that, and just um talk about your background. So walk me through just your whole path into filmmaking, from childhood when you finally got into it, before you ever actually thought you'd be making a film of your own. Walk us through that path, because I'm curious to hear what that's like, from your perspective, being in a totally different country.
Okay, so in school, I was like a very average child, but I was really into painting and I was into writing poetry. And I used to have like a journal. So when I grew up, like when I was doing my master's, I sort of combined the painting element and the writing element because I feel like when you combine both of these, it becomes visual
Yeah.
storytelling, which is filmmaking, right? So I started getting interested in this filmmaking. Then I, started learning from YouTube, and I started filming myself, making few short films in my own room because I was an introvert. I didn't have friends who were into filmmaking.
Mm.
But then, like, I joined like online groups of filmmakers in India, in my state, and then slowly I'm in a state from Delhi, and then I moved to Mumbai, which is like the hub of filmmaking in India. So
Okay.
Mumbai is like the Hollywood.
Mumbai.
It's
Okay.
it's yeah. So Mumbai is called the Bollywood, like
That's
Hollywood.
where
It's called
Bollywood is.
Bollywood.
Okay, copy.
Yes, that's where Bollywood is. So yeah, then I moved to Mumbai around 4 years ago. Then I started assisting people. So I started as an assistant camera woman. So I was really into cinematography. I loved camera work, lighting, and everything. So
Awesome.
I started working there, and then like I said, one fine day I was like, I want to do something of my own. I took 11 months to write the screenplay, but just want to mention that during those 11 months, I also co-produced a short film. I worked as an assistant camera woman in another. feature film which was independently made. I worked as a post production supervisor for an independent feature film, and these three things were not paying me much, right? Because these were all indie projects. But then I was also working on music videos and I was working in advertisements, and these things were paying me a good sum of money through which I was able to pay my bills. So, along with writing my screenplay, I was also doing these things as well in those 11 months, right? So it's if I'm working, I'm making like a indie film. It doesn't mean I'm not working outside of that because I do have to pay my bills.
Oh, of course.
So yeah.
That's what I'm saying here. We haven't announced it yet, but I'll just tell some people here. We're in a brand new office for our commercial work, which is actually what pays our
Mm.
bills, right? So
Exactly.
totally. Now, what I would like to go back even further, and I would like to like understand your mindset when you're writing your screenplay. Were you already full blown committed, like I'm gonna go make an independent feature film, or were you kind of more just wanting to write a script at that point, thinking maybe this will get made more traditionally, or were you already set on like I'm writing this because I'm gonna have to produce this? Like walk us through like your mindset there, and if it was that moment or later when you kind of shifted towards, oh, I have to do this kind of independently.
Initially, in the beginning, I was like, I will go the traditional way. I'll write the screenplay, then I'll pitch it to production houses, and then I will make it. But then I was pitching, and like I said, that I got rejections, a lot of rejection. Like, you know, honestly, I don't have a lot of connections in the industry. So the only way I can think of connecting with the production house is through Instagram DMs, or like what I used to do is I used to like look up a production house and I would look who are the people who work there. And then I would DM those people on Instagram and I'd be like,
That's
I
very
want to
smart.
pitch
Yeah,
this here.
very
Yeah,
smart.
so I was doing this on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Hmm.
I got a few emails, I got a few connections. I was able to pitch to few production houses, some big names, and it used to like ignite that spark. Oh, maybe this time I'm gonna get it. This time, like I have this big production house email, and I'm gonna crack it this time. But then, obviously, they say after 6 months or like 6 weeks, they would respond and they would say we can't do this because you don't have a good profile or whatever. And then initially I was like, I don't want to wait anymore. It's been 2 years that I have this screenplay and I love it. I want this story to be out because
Mm.
it's so Indian and it's so authentic. And I feel like so many people are going to relate to this story that I just, I had a discussion with my filmmaker friends and they were very kind and they were like, let's make it. Let's go indie on this project and let's do it. So initially, wanted to go the traditional way, but it's just the circumstances that I'm going in the indie zone now.
Wow. Well, and that's really cool. See, that's a little opposite of mine. I was like writing a script after I kind of made the decision of this whole independent
Hmm.
journey. So I'm wondering from your perspective, do you think looking back that you would have actually written that script if you were thinking I'm going to have to do this all by myself, or do you think it was almost good that you were writing in that mindset because that got the script done and
Hmm.
then, oh, I guess I got to do this? Like, do you think that would have affected your ability to write the script if you would have known this is an independent project? Or
Hmm. I feel like I would have written I would have, I wouldn't have written certain scenes the way I wrote it if I knew that it's going to be an indie project. Because I have written like
you would have thought of the budget
stadium
more?
and big, yeah, yeah. And now I'm like, oh my god, how are we going to get a stadium? How are we going to get this and that? So yeah, and now we're doing the changes for sure. But yeah, it would have, and we would have started sooner. So I started pitching in January this year. So if I knew that we were going to go indie on this project, I would have already started, the filming of, I would have gone further. So yeah, I
Gotcha.
hope I knew before.
You wish you did know before, you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I get that, but I was wondering, like, maybe if you would have thought that before, you would have been like, oh, like maybe you wouldn't have been ready for that 2 years ago and been like, oh, I'm not even
Hmm.
gonna write the script then because like I can't go make an independent feature film. That's what I was wondering if it was if you look back on it, wondering like, oh, maybe it's kind of good that you had that mindset because maybe you wouldn't have written the script. I don't know. That's what I was asking, but that's so interesting and cool that it evolved into that. Now, before we get into your project again, I think at least my audience, and again, I actually have a very high number of Indian filmmaking followers. That's why I was like wanting to make you one of our first guests here because I feel like a lot of people would love to know everything about the industry there, and I know I would too. So walk us through from your perspective, based on what you do know about Hollywood and then Bollywood, what are kind of the differences? And this was actually one of the questions I saw, and it's one I had
Mm-hmm.
myself. So what from your perspective is different between like America, Western, like the Hollywood world and the Western indie film space, and then the Bollywood world and the India indie film space from your perspective?
I feel like, again, I don't have a lot of insight on the Hollywood scenario, but I would say that in India, we do have to fight a lot of battles in terms, like, first, we have to fight a battle within ourselves. Like, maybe somebody have done engineering or somebody has done medical in the studied medical, but then they have to fight an inner battle with themselves that, do I want to listen to this inner calling, which is saying that I want to be a filmmaker? And
Mm,
then we have to fight our parents, like, please understand that we want to get into this, and it's
mm-hmm.
difficult to convince our parents because, and then again the society, and first we have to fight these battles, and then we are ultimately able to do what we want to do. And then when we start doing what we want to do, then those battles are different, like those that might be similar to what you face in Hollywood.
No,
So yeah.
that's a really interesting perspective, and tell me if this is true or not. Because I'm just this is what I know of culture and my ignorance. But in America, yeah, you hear about kids here like, oh, I want to be a filmmaker. My dad tells me not to, and I'm wondering if in Indian culture, I feel like that might be a lot more extreme than what even a lot of the kids here go through. And I only say that because, and again, tell me if this isn't correct, but it seems like a lot of the Indian people that do live here in America seem to be very like strict with academics, like with their children, and
Yeah.
which I appreciate. I love how they're very have goals and like because a lot of the kids here basically they're graduating high school and they don't know what they're doing. But I'm wondering if in India that's almost even more intense, that battle you're talking about of the parents not understanding the art thing.
Yeah.
How was that for you personally? What was that journey like with you and your parents and stuff?
It was tough. It was for sure tough. Also, like, because I wanted to move out of my parents' house, that was also tough for, especially on my mother. It was very tough
Mm.
because, like, being a female, uh, it's just in the society that you don't move out of your parents' house before you get married as
Oh,
a
okay.
female.
That's more traditional. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was tough, but yeah, I feel like now they're more accepting, and after like 2 years, they understood what I wanted to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's better now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things where of course as the children in the moment, we can almost be angry at them, right? But and I don't know obviously about your parents, and a lot of times it is not coming from a good place, and the kids should get away from those parents. But I know at least in my case, it was always coming from a protection. They didn't understand that world, and all they knew is that a lot of people do go into that world and seem to fail and mess up, and they just want what's best for us. So I get where they're coming from, and at least in my case, I was once I started proving like this was a sustainable lifestyle, they became the biggest supporters ever, so I hope you've had similar experiences with that too, because obviously it sounds like you've been doing a lot of things unrelated to your film, just in the industry. You've gotten on sets, you've gained skills. So tell us about what made you feel that you could go do this independently? Was it skills you developed on set? Was it just stuff you're learning online? Like, I would just love to hear what was your trigger and going, oh, I can do that. And also, right, when you're doing it independently, it's not just like your directing skills and your storytelling skills. You either must
Yeah.
have found a producer or learned how to do it yourself, and, funding, the distribution when it's all done. Like, just tell us what gave you the confidence that, oh, this is something we can do as independent filmmakers, and I don't need to go approach these people. What kind of moment, if there was one, gave you that confidence?
I would say that my partner, his name is Kundan. So he has been my strength. So he has actually made like two independent feature films before, and he is a cinematographer in the industry, and he does like very big Bollywood movies. So
Okay.
like,
And sorry, real quick, when you
we had a
say
conversation.
partner, or is you mean like business partner or like
He's my
boyfriend?
boyfriend.
Oh, awesome. Oh,
He's my
cool. Great.
boyfriend. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice.
So
Wonderful.
yeah, and also like a business partner.
Right. Yeah. No. Same.
So
Same here.
yeah, so like he has been the ultimate strength for me. And
Oh,
like the moment he said that, are you ready to go Indian? I was like, yes, if you're ready, I'm ready. And like we both were like, let's do this now. So yeah, obviously there are days when things go wrong and everything just goes, it feels like everything is going against us. But we being together, it just, we become each other's strength, and that just keeps us making go forward.
So will he be working on the film too?
Yes.
Awesome. What kind of, is he kind of just producing it with you, like me and my wife are, like doing everything, or is he gonna DP or like?
So we both wrote it together.
Oh,
So we both have written it together. We both are planning to direct it together, and we also like, we both would be like the producers as well. So
hmm.
it's like a combination
Yep.
thing.
Okay.
So we're, yeah.
You're gearing up to do exactly what we did. Wow, that's awesome. That's even more exciting. Wow. Yeah. And I honestly commend, I think there's nothing better I can say from experience than doing it with a partner. And if that partner's like your lover and someone you trust, then
Yeah.
it's even better, right? Be careful though, you know, it can be a little dicey. I'm sure you might be a little this more than you're used to. But no, I mean, I know in my case, I've said this many times, but the only reason I'm able to do what we've been doing here is because of, you know, Carmela, her producing skills and, you know, coordination skills, and able to just kind of hold all my craziness together, is why we're here. So that's awesome that you guys have also been able to find those roles together and make that stuff happen. Now before I get into like some of these questions, where are you in the process? Have you started production yet? And where are we on your project?
Okay, so we have completed the screenplay with dialogues and everything. Right now, actually, I'm on Reiki. So we are do so the place where we're thinking to film is actually 800 kilometers away from where we live.
Mm,
So we drove over here, and right now I'm in that state. We It's been 10 days that we have been on Reiki. We are scouting for 35 locations over here.
gotcha. Okay.
Uh, yeah, so we are going to stay here for 3 more days, and once we go back, we are going to make like, we're going to start with the pre-production of planning and doing the master breakdown and everything.
Mm. Okay.
Mhm.
So, do you have an idea of the date you'll start production then, roughly?
We are hoping in November.
Wow, okay.
This, yeah.
So exciting. Cool. How, so you've been there 10 days and you're scouting. Anything promising so far?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. A
Awesome.
lot of, I mean, I feel like I have picked out the best team. I love my teammates. They have been great. They have helped me explore the city a lot. I have been able to understand the culture, the people, the language better. I've seen like some beautiful, beautiful locations where I feel like I can film. So yeah, it's been great.
Nice, nice. Well, I'm very curious about that because I mean, to me, the number one thing in pulling off a project like this is that what you just said, the team, right? And on an indie level, getting a really good team can be difficult, right? Because sometimes money's not the way you're usually enticing people, right, in our world. So walk us through how you put together your team. How big is your team, and how are you able to get them to work with you? You know, assuming you probably had to do things other than just budget, right? Walk us through assembling the team.
Okay, so it's me, my partner Kundan, his a good friend. Actually, it's his first AC. His name is Abhishek, and then we have Shreyash, who is the assistant director. So it's the four of us right now on the team for the Reiki, and so these three guys are from this state where we are going planning to shoot. So, but they're from different areas of the state. So the
Awesome.
good part is that I'm able to explore the state from three perspectives, right? Because they're
Yeah.
from different parts. So it has been great. So like Kundan is my boyfriend. So I have worked with the other two guys before on independent projects.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you guys all know each other. You've worked together, and okay, that's even
Yes.
better. Even better. Wow. Awesome. And then, how big will you think your crew's going to get throughout this production? Like when you're actually shooting, how big of a team do you think you'll have then?
I'm thinking to have as small of a team as possible. Um, I mean, I don't have numbers right now, but I would think like 20, 25 people maximum, including the cast.
Gotcha. Okay. It's funny that that is a small number in production terms, but like that even sounds big to me because the film we did, if you've been following, right, was we basically had a crew, the four people you just named. That's all we got to take on production as well,
Oh, wow.
But I mean, we were doing something very different and orthodox, and like, and that's what I want. I'm bringing this up to segue. Um, in my film, the reason we could do that is because the way we wrote the story was like we were traveling through the jungle. We had the right type of gear to keep, cinematic lighting, camera movement, right, while being really spontaneous and moving. What's going to be the production approach to your film? Are you doing like how are you keeping it guerrilla? Well, but obviously still maintaining, the big looks that we all want. What type of different techniques are you looking to take advantage of for that? Because in any film, I feel like that's always the secret weapon. What can we do to stretch the budget, right, and put more of it on screen? What has that whole process been like for you planning and stuff?
So yeah, during the recce, what we plan to go gorilla in a lot of scenes, and we are filming in a small city. So what we have been doing during the recce is we visit the location, like a one particular location in the daytime, during the evening, and then again at night to see the atmosphere there, to see the crowd, and also to just like see how we can plan things over there without disturbing the people over there and without like grabbing too much attention also. So yeah,
Yeah,
we
are you
plan
looking for
to.
locations that you'd be able to film in? Like, you're not looking for permits. Are you kind of analyzing that? Like, hey, we won't bother people here. We're good here, right? Okay, great. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
same here. That's the indie world. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, but we for certain scenes we are like also we will take permission from the state at least to like film in the state. But yeah, majority of the things are just like gorilla. Then we are pulling in favors a lot. We are like filming in the house of a friend. So yeah, pulling in favors. That's how we are going ahead.
Awesome, awesome, cool.
Mhm.
Let's see. All right, let me get to some of these other questions because people
I
were
also
very
want to,
curious.
yeah, I also want to know about your film.
Yeah, no, definitely we can. And I'm trying to like almost like answer these questions as well, like almost from both of our perspectives and compare them. Um, let's see. How do you? Okay, I think this is. Let's talk about funding and stuff. Did you have to get any of this funded? If so, how did you do it? You don't need to tell us like exactly like the budget level you're working on, but just tell us any challenges related to funds that you needed or didn't need and how you're just navigating the biggest challenge in any film, right? Getting the
Yeah.
funds.
Yeah. So up till now, we were like, I was like putting in my money, some of my savings that I've been earning from the gigs I've been doing. But recently, like a month ago, I started a crowdfunding on my Instagram page. So we have generated around like $500. And when we got those $500, we were like, okay, let's not wait to get the entire sum to do the production, but we have $500, so let's do the Reiki. So we have spent around $250 up till now in the Reiki, and uh, I mean we are trying to get some funding. Like we are trying to pull in sponsorship. So there are like certain scenes in like let's say a ice cream shop or a grocery store. So we are trying to like talk to these people, like the ice cream shop owner, if we can film in his premises and if he can sponsor us. So yeah, that's how we're trying to pull in some funds. So it's been going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like in the indie world, right, a lot of the ways you get your funding is really just by getting stuff for free, right? Like, okay, if we get that location for free, like that crosses off like having
Yeah.
to pay for something or and I'm assuming like your partner and people probably have a lot of the equipment you might be using, so maybe you're able to keep that down and stuff. So yeah, and then obviously the
Yeah.
guerrilla locations, that's really cool. Do you think is your film going to be mostly outdoors? Run and gun like from the camera operation side of things, or do you have any like really kind of tough controlled moves or scenes you'll have to also pull off with that?
Actually, it's more outdoors and it's also on a two-wheeler, like a bike, a
Mm,
motorcycle.
okay,
So we are also like trying to figure out how we can how to rig the motorcycle. We are still figuring
gotcha.
that out in like very less expense.
And
So
just
yeah.
finding different perspectives and okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Um, let's see. What are people asking? I already asked that. Um, Okay, this is always a big one, right? Other than the funding side, what are your plans for marketing distribution? Have you guys been thinking about, after the film and how it's going to find an audience or any of those things? What's all the plans for that, if any, at this point?
The only plan that I have as of now is to promote my film as much as possible through my social media pages from Instagram and YouTube. We also have some friends who can help us out in putting up, some promotion out in the media. So we're trying, we haven't given it a lot of thought yet, but yeah, it's enough in the back of our head.
Yeah, well, and that's a good segue where you're talking about social media. Obviously, I want to talk to you most filmmaking. We're filmmakers here, but did find you via Instagram because of the current age we live in, where we can do
Yeah.
things like this. So obviously you're well aware that content is very, very important, and especially it's not it's like a free resource. I mean, it costs us our time, but it's a way to start building an audience, reaching audience. I mean, you don't need me to tell you how important social media is, but I want to learn from you to walk us through how you've adapted filmmaking into your content, and let's segue into more social media and being a filmmaker, content creator, just that whole world. When did you start doing content for as a filmmaker? What type of doors has that opened, if any? And how do you plan your content and get better at it, right? All that stuff.
I started this page around 2 years ago, and I started this page with my first reel saying that I want to make my own film. I'm done assisting other people. And that particular reel happened to go viral in India. And it has around 9 million views now. So yeah, I mean that grabbed a lot of attention, and I do feel that social media has been my biggest motivation to make this film as well, because a lot of people on a daily basis like DM me saying that we are ready to assist you, or we are ready to help you out. All the best, you are inspirational and everything. So it has been a constant motivation for me. I would say that it is also helping me connect worldwide. Like I'm connected to you right now. So yeah, it's been great. I'm also like I'm not very good at posting a lot of content, but I'm trying to work and like post more. So yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, content is again, the only reason I have content is because I have the most badass wife ever who, is a wizard, but she's great at social, she's great at marketing, and that's why we're able to be, such a good team here. But yeah, the content, it's really important in today's day and age to get it out. And I almost feel like the way we're, the route we're going, a lot of the potential, maybe even like revenue streams for filmmakers could come more from social than our actual projects. But at the end of the day, if we can get the projects made, who cares? Now, was your crowdfunding campaign that you launched? Do you think social was a big part of that getting put out? Um,
Yes, yes,
Great, yeah,
absolutely.
awesome,
Mm.
awesome. And it's funny, I think it was, yeah. I can't believe it's been 2 years, but I feel like that I saw that your reel when it was going viral, and that's how we first found you a long time ago. And I
Oh,
remember Carmela, my wife, was showing me your content, several times over the last year. Like, hey, this person's really good, filmmaking content and stuff. So it's really been impressive to see how you've adapted the content to tell your story, building an audience. I mean, I think that's one of the most valuable things for filmmakers right now. So talk to us about the relationship you've developed with your audience and any advice to other filmmakers who, because so many people, especially us artists, right, we don't want to be in front of the camera like this, right? We want to make
mm.
the art, but there's something so valuable in connecting with an audience, right? So was that ever a hard thing for you, or you always, because I actually am a little natural in front of the camera. I like talking. I probably do it too much, but I know a lot of the other filmmaker content creators I've met, that was kind of a hurdle. So for you, was it hard getting in front of camera and talking? Were you used to that? And then after you did get established, tell us how you've built this relationship with your audience and adjusted your content based on their needs.
Yeah, I do think initially it was a little bit difficult for me to talk in front of the camera, but then I did sort of develop the skills slowly, and I'm still learning. But I do feel that it is quite exciting. Like sometimes I go on sets, and this one time it happened that a light boy told me that, "Hey, I have seen your reel," and I was like, "Oh my God, that's crazy," So yeah, I I try to like engage a lot with my audience through live sessions, through DMs, and a lot of people are like, "We are ready to help you." Actually, there are a lot of people who are not who are into filmmaking, like they want to get into filmmaking, but haven't started yet. And those people DM me a lot. Like
Mm,
they want to like get into the film industry. They want to
yeah.
understand how to get into the film industry. So yeah,
Yeah, and I'm sure you can relate to this probably even more than me, but like I get DMs all the time of people,
mm,
ask that, how do I get in the film industry? Or like they want to work with me. They think I'm like have
yeah,
a way bigger company than I do. Like, hey, like, can I audition for this? I'm like, guys, we're just wrapping up one film. Like, it's a lot of actors and a lot of aspiring film, which is awesome. I love the energy and what I would like to say to all those people, and I think you would agree, right? Is like, guys, just go do it. Like, get on social,
yeah,
start making something. I think so many people are afraid of making bad stuff, and you have to make bad stuff or you will never make good stuff, right? And I think filmmakers are really supportive of each other. And guys, who cares about the random person that might see your work and be like, well, that's not a Hollywood movie, that sucks. Who cares? Like, filmmakers, we support each other. We're always looking. I get super fired up anytime I see any other filmmaker trying to improve, and I can see myself in them. So um I'm always pushing the message of everyone to just get going. We always want to talk to them, but a lot of them feel like, I think, they need to reach out to someone, and someone needs to almost like give them a job or give them a thing. And I think you've proven with your content, like, no, like, just go for it, and
yeah.
make that connection, there. So I'm assuming, do you agree with a lot of that, or?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Mm.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's see. I think there's a few more questions, and then we'll kind of just open the floor more up. Someone asked something about kind of actors. They said, when you make your first feature film, what kind of actors do you look for, fresh or named? I mean, I think what they're asking, right, is more just how did you go about finding actors for a film like this?
So we haven't logged casting yet, but we are looking into theater actors as of now. So
Mm,
some of our friends are like very good theater actors. So and they're like trying to step into the industry as actors. So we are looking into those right now.
awesome, awesome.
Mm.
Well, let me see. I think. Oh, this is a good one. Um, what are your kind of expectations for your film? Where would you like it to end up and go? I mean, this it's kind of a weird question because it's almost like, how big of a film are
Mm.
you making? But it's more like, what would you view as success a couple of years from now when your film is done, it lands wherever it's going to land? What would make you feel like, I did that, I did it, I'm proud, and feel successful with it?
I don't think that I don't give value in terms of a platform. I don't think
Hmm.
that if it will be on Amazon, it will be a success. I feel like as long as it will be out there somewhere for people to view and review and to like, give their feedback, that would be a success for me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Mm.
Well, first, this I should ask this. If you can, tell us a little bit about what your film's about, and the energy behind it, and the messages you're trying to tell, and tell us about the art for a quick second, right?
Yeah, sure. I can share a little bit about it. So it's a story about a couple who have been married for like 7 years now. So after 7 years, they happen to face a little bit of conflict in their relationship, and they're on the verge of divorce, getting divorced. But then, event take, takes place in their life, which reignites that spark that was missing. It like takes them on this adventure,
Mm,
and they happen to fall in love all over again with each other. So the film is about that.
wow, that's a really cool concept. That's brilliant, and if done right, that could be really, really cool. So wow, that's exciting. How long will your production be, do you think?
So if we are able to shoot in November, I think we should finish the post production by end of January or by February maximum.
Post production, but the shoot though,
Yeah.
how long do you think you'll be shooting for?
Uh, the shoot will be like around 25 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I want to open the floor up to you. Is there anything? What do you want to know? Ask me anything, and I'll probably get more ideas of questions, and we can go back and forth. If you think there's any value that your audience wants from me, like let's open it up. So
Yes,
and we
like
can
first
maybe
of
get
all,
into some of the chat questions in a little bit too, because I'm sure people have been pouring in there possibly. So, but anyway, yeah.
yeah, I want to know about your film. What is it about? How did you start?
Yeah, I mean, so our film is called Ring of Fire, and essentially what it's about a travel content creator who's living in Bali, which is kind of my background. So I always wanted to make films growing up, was really into cinema, but around 2015, 16, I started getting obsessed with like kind of the YouTube side of filmmaking, specifically like the travel
Mm.
vloggers. Like if you ever saw like Sam Colder videos, you know,
Yeah.
those I was like obsessed with that. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna go do while I build up portfolio and make those types of videos. So I did that for about 5 years, loved it. It was awesome. I never got like viral with it as far as like, YouTube and Instagram goes. But it was just a really fun world. But eventually I was like, yo, I want to make movies, and this seems like it's getting more social media, short form. That wasn't what I wanted. But I was like, well, I love the places I go, and I feel like the image quality and the type of images we produce on these trips are more akin to what I see coming out of Hollywood, not like my other friends making short films. So my whole idea was like, okay, well, what if I could do a narrative, have a script, but shoot it in almost the same way that we travel to these locations as content creators, where we get to a waterfall, bust out the drone, and end up with all this amazing footage. What if we just bring actors and a little bit more gear and tell a story the entire way? So this is where I'm talking as a producer, I guess, but that was my idea of like, I think if we do that and the story's actually good, which hopefully the director side of me knows what he's doing, but that should be a pretty good looking big film, right? Mostly because of the locations. So my thing was
Mm.
like really inspired by at the time that movie The Creator had just came out, and it was all over YouTube how they shot it on the Sony FX3, and like it was still a big Hollywood movie, but for Hollywood
Mm.
they were shrunk the crew down and went on location all over Asia, right? Mostly Thailand in their case. So what I was always telling my team is like, guys, we're gonna be like the micro indie budget version of this. We're going to Indonesia with a smallish crew, and just like we would as backpackers and travel creators, we're going to go to these amazing
Mm.
locations. But when we get there, we have a specific story to tell there now. And instead of all the collaborators just being the same YouTube guy, we have specific roles. I'm there as a director producer. I had my DP. I had my first AC/drone pilot, and then Carmela, was producing, which means wearing a bunch of hats, doing lighting, doing all these little things. And we had two local coordinators over there. That was the entire like production team. And we had about eight
Mm.
actors that only about six of them were there like permanently, and a couple of them came in and out because we shot for 2 entire months there. Um, because we essentially had to create a schedule that allowed us to just have a bunch of days that didn't go right. We'd get to places,
Mm.
weather didn't work. So for us, it was more about getting a big time in a cheap place, right? Like the American dollar just goes so far in Indonesia. So if we would have done the exact same shoot in the United States, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to afford it because just the meals alone would have been more than
Yeah.
my entire budget. But because we went to Indonesia, which yes, cost a good amount of money to get everyone there, right? The flights were probably like one of the biggest expenses of the production budget. But then once we got there, we could live very, very affordably and not be like, oh my God, we got a 21-day shoot and like every day costs us tons of money. It's like, no, the flights were the main expense, and the lodging and the food, it's not free, but it's not, if we have to extend days, or it's not a big deal.
Mm.
But what the movie's really about, to segue back to the director hat, is kind of in that world, a lot of creators would make videos talking about, follow your dreams, and this big self-love movement from my generation, is very prevalent. And that's good advice, and that, is good videos. But I really wanted to go deeper with that in the story, because it's not always that black and white for me. Following your dreams and getting everything we want doesn't always line up with
Correct.
the right morals that we would have to break or
Mm.
not break in order to achieve that, right? It's obviously easier for like a 19-year-old with no responsibilities to be like, oh, I'm going to go
Mm.
follow this dream. But some people are maybe 33 years old, married with a kid, and they aren't in the position to just throw that away and make a new decision because they want to be happy, quote unquote, right? So I wanted to
Mm.
create a story where um, ambiguity was front and present, and we really dealt with this character that we can relate to. The audience I'm pushing this film to, right, is these travel content creators. I want them to relate to this character and feel his drive for trying to achieve something, but in the story we keep making it very complicated to achieve that, and keep the moral compass about you. And we don't really necessarily try to like hammer the answer in the question. My favorite films usually involve a very deep question like that, and then letting the audience kind of linger and think about that, for days. I mean, the movies that stick with me when I leave the theater and I'm still thinking are movies that make me ask those type of deep questions typically. So that's kind of what I hope to achieve for the audience. And I think what was really fun is we got to tell that emotional story. Um, it's also a story about faith, and kind of different Eastern versus Western philosophies and worldviews, and like how those worldviews do shape the morality that you pick and then the decisions you make, and letting the audience kind of wrestle with the
Mm.
idea of like, hey, those things do kind of matter. You kind of got to know what your worldview is so you can go make decisions. And I think a lot of people just have no compass of what they believe at all, so when they get into these situations they don't even know what might be right and what might be wrong. So we have a confused character I tried to create that just is in the middle of that. So hopefully the audience can
Wow.
really wrestle with that. And then because of the location we shot it, hopefully it's a really fun, visually compelling way with just mesmerizing locations and images. But at the end of the day, the story is what matters over everything, right? So we got some incredible actors. Well, my advantage was I was basically got to cast worldwide because whoever I casted, I was gonna have to fly them to Bali anyway.
Mm.
So, like for example, I've done some like short films here in Florida where there's no budget and you're just casting locally, and the pool obviously is very limited, because we're already not working with like A-list big time famous actors or anything. So you really have
Mm.
to like find these hidden gems. And having a project that casted worldwide made that a lot easier because now the whole world
Mm.
was my playground for these hidden gems. Our lead came out of LA. We had our second co-star was from Hungary, or she's from Germany but lives in Hungary. We had another guy from the UK, one guy from Indonesia, Jakarta, and then a couple more people from LA and a girl from Ohio in the United States as well. So that was really awesome to be able to just grab, you're okay, you're talented, you're talented, you're talented. We're all flying to Indonesia. We're gonna make this thing together. And in my case, getting the actors was a lot about showing them my previous travel videos as well as
Mm.
showing them the DP that we would be working with, and really
Mm.
saying like, hey, if you come and do this with me, because it was a very crazy pitch. It wasn't like, do you
Mm.
want to act? It was like, do you want to go on a wild adventure basically as a backpacker and burn like before we even like get to turn the cameras on because we got hikes to go on, we got all these things. And
Yeah.
honestly, when people wanted to do it, I would try to talk them out of it. And if they still wanted to do it, I was like, okay, they're probably cut out for it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, sorry,
They're
I'm
crazy enough.
rambling, but
Yeah. Yeah, I totally relate to that. Like even like even I like the first independent feature film that I assisted on, like those guys like were trying to like really test me, like how tough am I? Like should be taking me along with them or not? So like they were really testing me first and then they took me. So I can totally understand that hiking and everything.
yeah, because I mean, production, even when you're not going over mountains and dealing with crazy foreign roads, it's always a war. I mean, it just is. I mean,
Yeah.
so the pre-production, as I'm sure you're well aware, is everything, right? I mean, for us,
Yes.
that was how we planned everything because we get dealt with a lot of headaches on during the shoot,
Mm.
but because of the planning and pre-production, we were mostly always prepared for those things and could move around and just move on to the next thing. And then also, this is what I was asking about the scripting earlier. Because I was writing my script already knowing I had to go pay for this, I had to do this. I was able
Mm.
to write the script knowing like, okay, I need to write in a way that I can move around. And because we were in like this basically giant playground where everywhere you look is a beautiful movie set, I made sure a lot of the scenes weren't like, oh, it has to be in this field, or it's like, oh, it
Mm.
could be in this field, or it could be in a deeper jungle, or it could be in a mountainside, whatever kind of just ends up being the sexiest thing we find, we can put the scene
Mm.
there. So trying to make sure that I could move physical elements of the story around without
Mm.
changing the heart of the story. And because I knew I was going to go shoot it, writing that way was super helpful. So we had a script that was like meant for what we were going to go do. Then we turned that into the whole plan, got there, shot it, and now it's been a year of post production. Just it's been a long time editing. We picture locked about 2 weeks ago, and now we're in color, sound, and music and stuff. So, which is really nice because as the director and producer, it's a lot of breathing and
Mm.
kind of just waiting to see what they send me, approving, disapproving type of thing. Because I've had to really pivot my attention the last month to our commercial work in the production company here in
Mm.
Florida, so we can get some money back in our pockets right
Yeah,
after all this. So, but yeah.
absolutely. So, how did you finance the production?
Well, mine is not the sexiest story there. I just saved a ton of my own money for a couple years and then borrowed the other half of it. Um, so I'm in
Okay.
debt. But what I will say is I didn't just go in debt because I wanted to make a movie. I wasn't going to do
Mm.
that. I was willing to spend a certain amount of my own money to go make something and make this thing. What gave me the confidence to borrow more money is I started learning about the indie film business and realized that it wasn't as challenging as I thought to make a commercially viable product. Right. I discovered a podcast called the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I highly recommend it. Hosted by a guy
Okay.
named Alex Ferrari. Also, his book, The Rise of the Film Entrepreneur, that kind of changed my life because he basically explained in there all these different ways to make money off your film that like you just would never traditionally think about, and how possible that is and how necessary that is so you can go make another one. Right. It's not, I'm not trying to like
Yeah.
get rich, make money. No, filmmakers are not in it for money, obviously. We'd be doing other
Mm.
things, but I want to be able to do it again. Right. So um, as I was reading his book, I realized that my script was kind of already naturally hitting some of these points. For example, having a niche audience is such an important
Mm.
thing if you're an indie film. And for us, like you see it a lot with like sports films, right? Like if you make a basketball
Mm.
movie, there's a niche, right? Bam, there you go. For us, it was these travel content creator community people, right? I came out of that
Yeah.
world. I knew what that world was like. I felt like I am one of those audience members. If Sam Colder or one of these other guys made a feature film, I'd be all in. And in fact, I would
Mm.
argue, even though he's not a travel content creator, if you're familiar with like Danny Gevirtz and his kind of
Yes.
story on YouTube, that also
Mm.
gave me a lot of confidence, right? So from the production side, him having the guts to go do that and having Maddie Hapoya help him produce it, and then Alex's book, I would say those two things made me go, oh, I actually should spend a little more money because if I make this thing good, I really think I
Mm.
can target this audience
Mm.
and push traffic to a thing. So it was almost the confidence like, oh, you need a little bit of money to make a little bit of money. And the more I learned about these things, the less afraid I got about borrowing a little bit of money because I actually believed in the business side of what I was doing and actually felt like, oh, I
Yeah.
need some money so this can be a little step higher so it can be something that is commercially viable, right? And
Mm.
I'll also say, look, I'm a director. Like, I want to direct films and be an artist. That is where I come from. However, I've had to become and wear the producer hat in order to greenlight myself to do that. So I think it's very important for any indie filmmaker like you or me who wants to direct and do their own films to either find a kick-ass producer or learn how to become one too. Because
Yeah.
if I would have gone the route of like, oh, I'm a director, I'm going to shop my script around and wait for a producer to just share this wild vision with me, I would
Mm.
still to this day be trying to do that and trying to get this film made, right? And
Yeah.
part of that is because my idea was insane. My idea was almost impossible to pitch. I actually got with several consulting producers in LA. One of them is still a great mentor, and I talk to him almost weekly. Business idea that I had, he's like, you have an audience, right? Because, and I was going to touch on this when you were talking about your studio pitches, right? I mean, the reason a lot of times those don't go well is because they don't give a crap really even about your portfolio. They're like, have you
Yeah.
made something that found an audience and generated money? If not,
Yeah.
we literally don't care and don't want to talk to you, right? They don't care how artistic you are. They just want to know, is there an audience and can you drive revenue, right? They're business people. That's all
Yeah.
they're thinking about. And that is obviously very frustrating for us artists that don't think like that. But so many of us reach out to producers. We create pitch decks, and what's the first thing on the pitch deck? The story and how good it's going to be and what it's about. And guess what? The film investors do not care about that. And the film distributors at the end of the day also really do not care about that. And it doesn't mean you have to not care about it. We are going to care
Mm.
about it. But it means we have to learn how to speak those people's language when we're dealing with them, right? So my consulting producer Franco loved my initial pitch because I had been studying what they're looking for. So I got straight to the point with him. I didn't tell him much about the story. I showed him some of my travel work. I explained to him where this giant online audience was, and I explained all these new methods of marketing that could be done to reach that audience. And he loved it. He was like, "But you want to direct it? Let's have no, like no one's going to let you direct it. Like you could probably raise money
Mm.
for this if we go and you want to run around another country with no permits and what?" So that was never going to happen. So I shot it by myself, and now that I have it, we might be seeking more financing for marketing because I would really love to get
Mm.
the film on a TVOD platform where we stand to have the best returns, but it's
Mm.
very hard for indie films to be on to have a transactional release, right? Where you would purchase the film for maybe $5 or rent it on the Amazon or something. Most indie films have to go straight to like an AVOD platform, Amazon Prime, maybe
Mm.
Tubi TV, which is fine, right? But it's just those obviously pay a lot less. Um, but the thing is, who's going to buy your indie film typically, right? I mean, there's a bunch of free studio films these days all over the internet. Why is someone going to buy your indie? Well, if you have a niche audience, maybe you can overcome that, right? Is kind of the idea. So that was all part of the setup of why
Mm.
I was able to find put maybe more money and like feel confident to spend more before I was having that approach, you know. And that's kind of my biggest message I want to give to filmmakers is don't be afraid of the business side. That is going to empower you as an artist so much more than you realize, right? Because now you will be the mean producer that you fight with, and guess what?
Mm.
You're not going to tell yourself to change the story or do whatever. And also just having that mindset, it's just better in all aspects, I think. So I know a lot of us came from the world where we think we're afraid of that or the producer's the guy we don't like. And, but I think in the indie world going forward, that's not true. And we all need to learn how to be our own producers and, you know, get it done.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's exactly what you did. And here you are
Mm.
getting a film made, you know, so.
Mm. I have a question for you. So in India, when we go out to like sell a film, because we recently also sold the indie films,
Mhm.
they always ask who is the actor? Is the actor known? Like they want to see a known face. So is that a similar case in Hollywood?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in film in for films,
Mm.
actors are the number one sell, right?
Mm.
That's what puts butts in theater seats. That's what makes people click. Oh, I know that face, right? Now,
Mm.
that's not how we think typically, but that is subconsciously true. Like actors do sell movies. Now, here's the thing. What I'm trying to do is like get over that because again, I have the niche audience, right? Because that's what when they ask about the actor, that's their way of asking where's the audience, like who's the audience? Because let's say you just make a generic drama movie, the
Mm.
only thing that's going to sell that is a movie star, which is why dramas are
Mm.
so hard to make and sell even in Hollywood, right? They do put movie stars in them and they have a hard time selling them out. But the reason is because they're too expensive to make. They shouldn't be that
Mm.
expensive to make. So the approach I'm taking in the new indie world that's rising is like, look, my film is so cheap compared to like most films that look like
Mm.
mine. Knock on wood, that I guess that's an opinion. That's what I'm hoping,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
That you're not, and it has a niche audience. So we don't need an A-list actor to recoup our funds, right? Yes, if we would have had to spend what my movie should have cost, like over $1 million probably, that's what Hollywood would have done because but they don't know how to be innovative and go guerrilla like us, right? It's just not how they think. They don't understand that,
Yeah.
right? Their catering budget would have been more than my entire movie, right? And I don't even know if they would have made a better movie, honestly, right? They probably wouldn't even gone on location. They would have faked it all on green screens and LED walls and all that, right? So, but sorry to get back to your question. Yes, like it is always a push that actors are big, and
Mm.
there's ways to get actors in your films, but it's just you have to assess what film you're making, how much budget you're going to
Mm.
spend, how to recoup that budget and then see if an actor helps or hurts that, right? Because there's so many indie films where you can clearly tell they put that face in it just because that face was known, but that person was not right for the role, right? That at
Mm.
the end of the day, you still have to cast your roles, right? And like the
Yeah.
character has to be the character. And at the end of the day, too, only bad films need to rely on that, right? We've all seen a ton of great films and we didn't know any of the cast before we watched it, but because it was actually good, we didn't care, right? So I would
Yeah.
also say go make a good movie. Like this is the one thing where I'll like take the artist side, right? Go make a good movie and they're not going to worry so much about that. They're going to be like, oh no, the concept of that, the idea of that, the trailer we can make off that, that will sell the movie, right? But when you don't have a lot of those
Mm.
elements, people are like, okay, where's the famous person I know? Because nothing else is convincing me yet. Um, and then I
Mm.
also think reaching out to like us, these smaller audiences, and it's not as important, right? Like we are going to become the stars, right? Because of social media, as filmmakers, we can now have our own audience and followings, which right now is kind of only reserved for like the top dogs, right? Like, yes, Christopher Nolan is a director that actually has his own fans and but most other
Mm.
directors, you know, don't have that. There's like four of them. But I
Yeah.
think the future is directors and producers and whatever, what have you, can be just as big of star power for the films as as the actors. And in my case, three of my actors are pretty prominent social media content creators. So I would argue
Mm.
kind of have a little bit of miniature star power inside the niche that we're going for. And that's really all that matters, right? But yes, just to get back to your main question, everyone's always asking for that. They want actors. And a lot of times, the only way you can get a film funded, at least a big one, is by putting together what they call a package, right? It's so rare in
Mm.
America to sell a script, right? Or to get a movie greenlit without the entire package being there. It's like, no, you got to have the
Yeah.
director, you got to have the two lead actors and the script and the funding. And now, like, everything can be greenlit, right? And that's very, very difficult to do,
Yeah.
which is why you hear that big catch 22 of like, hey, the actor says they will sign as soon as we get the money. The money guy says he will fund it as soon as you get that actor. You're
Yeah.
left in no man's land. And that's where a lot of producers find themselves, you know, at the bigger level above us. But I think soon that won't matter as much, is my hope.
Mm. Now that you have such a big audience on social media, have you ever thought of putting out your film on like YouTube or something? Like a paid YouTube membership thing?
Um, Maybe. I mean, yes and no. So the answer is like no,
Mm.
not YouTube specifically, but I think the
Mm.
heart of what you're asking, yes, right? We've just
Mm.
explored other ways to do that. For example, I like YouTube is great. Like we're putting out all the free content, right? And then if the audience is there, we definitely want to try to push them to something bigger at first, right? Like a TVOD platform. And then at the end of the day, like the deals for everything other than YouTube is better. So I don't think it would be smart for any filmmaker to just dump it on YouTube immediately. Like definitely go unless like you just made it so cheap and or maybe you can't monetize it. Like a lot of people make short films, right, where they like have
Mm.
copyright stuff. Like they couldn't go monetize that, right, legally. So I think, and that's the case, you should. It's very possible that this movie does end up free on YouTube. I just would expect that to maybe be a year or two down the line because I'm hoping, you know, like I did make a big enough movie where I do have to like get it on some stuff or I won't make my money back, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I said. That was the leap I took before when I was trying to make the movie in the lower budget range with my savings. I wasn't seeing a way to recoup that because it wasn't going to be an exciting enough product, right? That does matter, right? Like at the end of the day, we are trying to please audiences and entertain them. We can't get our artistic messages out if they're not entertained along the way. So just finding that balance, you know, as the producer director and being like, okay, if I borrow this money though, I can now take the film into a level that I think is entertaining, right? And like
Mm.
would be compelling. And people don't feel like they're watching some guy's indie film. They'll just think they're watching a movie, right? So but because of that now I have to like kind of shoot for the stars, and that's why marketing and
Mm.
distribution has been on my mind since day one. We have so many different ideas for screenings, right? Like I think amazing marketing would be, imagine if I got some of the big travel content creators that are big in the space right now to come to a screening, film their reactions, right? And then use those to cut trailers and push it to that audience, right? There, like I said, there's kind of a Christian faith element to my film. So I think that's a whole other niche audience that you can open the door to, right? And like the way we might target them with advertising could be completely different than like going after this niche over here, right? And then conversations like this, filmmakers talking to each other, all finding out different little miniature marketing things and seeing what we can do with social, and then see what we can do with the other stuff, later. So we have a ton of ideas. I mean, I could spend a whole episode just going through all that stuff. But yeah, it's I just highly recommend people check out Indie Film Hustle podcast. Just look up film distribution, film marketing. There's a lot of super savvy, clever resources out there. And follow us, guys, MCK Pictures. We're always sharing other people's ideas as much as our own. Like, oh, look what this person's doing. It's why we're doing lives like this. I wanted people to hear your story and hopefully grow the community so people are inspired to do it too, because I just want to see other filmmakers get out there and do it, because I know they can. There's
Yes,
probably ones way more talented than me, they just don't think they can do it yet, and I'm like, guys, if I can do it, you can do it. So let's
absolutely.
let's make some movies, right?
Yes. This was like very inspiring. Like I took a lot of points, like the podcast, the book. I will surely check these things out.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. And hey, I do have to get going here, but I think we should definitely get this going. I'm trying to do as many of these Instagram lives with guests as possible. Thank you so much for being the first one. I really hope the audience got some enjoyment. I hope yours did too. And I
Yeah.
definitely think we should have you back on through different stages and like let's see how the film is going. I want to hear all about it. And how it's going. So
Yes,
best of luck.
absolutely. I would love to like connect with you guys again soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Vritika, did I say that right this time?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we will definitely be in touch. And best of luck on the finishing of your scout. And yeah, excited to see you get into production soon.
Yeah, all the best to you as well. And I just want to say one thing. Just in case you want to dub your film in Hindi for India, let me know and I will connect you with the right people.
Okay, yeah, we'll be okay.
Yes.
Awesome. We'll be in touch for sure. Yeah, I gotta get my thumb into
Yes.
that territory. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you, Vertika. Have a good day.
Same to you.
Bye.
Bye.